is Alan from Alpus Group. I'm going to talk to you today about key project success factor 5, which is statutory permissions. Whatever development you carry out in whatever country, you need to have the relevant planning permission and building control permission. Planning permission relating to the use class that the particular development is for. So it's for residential or commercial, industrial, hotel, agricultural permission. Building control being the technical permission for the detailed design and the construction, so that the quality of the construction is appropriate to the design. So there's two distinct classes. Irrespective of whether you require planning permission, in certain cases you can carry out a development under permitted development rights. Nevertheless, you still need building control permission. So this is part of our series of videos about 20 key factors that need to be addressed to ensure project success. And we've been through in the previous videos the first 4 of these, which is a clear and concise project brief, risk assessment and contingency, funding, the site being available and accessible to the contractor. And key factor number 5 is statutory permissions need to be in place. That's planning permission and building control in order to carry out the development. The other key success factors we'll talk about in future videos. So key factor 1, just to recap, we want a clear and concise project brief for the project that is being carried out. There must be a clear and concise project or program brief that defines the scope of the works and the fundamental design parameters and the employer's or owner's requirements such as budget cost, program time schedule and specific operational performance requirements and quality requirements. The project or program brief should reflect the vision of the sponsor of the project or program. And then we talked about consideration on any project site of the possible options which there are for development, and that these need to be within the allocated use class that is applicable to the site. So on a particular site you may have a choice of developing for residential or commercial or industrial purposes subject to the local authority's planning policy. So it's likely that if you conform to the planning policy, then you'll have a higher chance of approval of your particular type of development. If you go against the planning policy, then it's likely that you're going to come up with a refusal of your planning application. So you look at the available options, and you may need to seek either outline and detailed planning permission for the development, or you may have rights under permitted development rights under the Town and Country Planning Order 2015. Irrespective of which one you develop under, you must have building control permission to carry out the works in accordance with the building regulations. So this is a design requirement for your detailed design, and it's also an inspection requirement in terms of the conformance of the works on site to the detailed designs. So having looked at the options, you decide on a strategy to proceed with a particular site. You may decide that you don't want to take the risk of seeking planning permission and having it refused, and because there isn't a permitted development right to develop the particular type of development you want, for example, residential development, you will need to seek an option to purchase the site. So you enter into agreement with the owner of the site to give you the right to buy the site at a predetermined price subject to the planning permission that you're seeking. Alternatively, if you don't achieve the planning permission that you're looking for, then you don't have to take up the option to purchase. You are not obliged to do that. So you've got a right to purchase but not an obligation to purchase. And then we talked about carrying out risk assessment on the particular development on the site, and that each project will be different. You need to take account of the likelihood of getting the planning permission, any other risks that there may be to do with the site, such as diversion of services. If you've got electricity pylons that need to be relocated, then this can be massively expensive and also take a long time, like 2 years, once you've got agreement from the statutory authority to relocate such structure, so even assuming they agree to do it. So we talked about quantifying the risks on the job. We gave an example of the acquisition costs, the solicitor, survey fees, sales duty, land tax, etc., the planning consultation costs, architectural feasibility, and then the design and consultants costs to do with the execution of the works, the construction costs estimate, and then depending on the particular risks on the project, there needs to be a contingency allocated, which will cover all the possible eventualities should the work proceed, and making allowance for things to possibly go wrong, and to cover that within your funding provision. We talked about the need for availability of the site. So obviously you can't instruct a contractor to proceed until he has possession of the site, but not only that, you need to have planning permission for the sort of work that you want to carry out specifically on that site. So you can seek planning permission if you don't own the site. This means that you can seek planning permission under an option to purchase, or you can seek planning permission on someone else's site, but of course you're declaring an intention once you submit a planning application on a site. So unless you've got an option to purchase giving you an exclusive right to purchase, then that vendor could take advantage of your planning permission and sell the site elsewhere. But in order for your contractor to be able to start work on the development, you must give him possession of the site with the planning permission. You can't start work on site without the planning permission. So this could be either the approved planning application, or it could be a permitted development right that you have. So this can occur where you've got permitted development rights under the recent permitted development legislation and the changes to the use class order, which have been introduced and which are currently being changed as we speak. So what you need to do is to check on the current permitted development rights and the change of use classes about specifically what you can do. Some of the permitted development rights expire in July of 2021. So obviously if you can't conform with that timescale, that right, permitted development right, will expire. But these permitted development rights are being updated, and we have a separate video about current types of permitted development right. So although in principle you may think you've got permitted development right, you need to check with the planning consultant whether this actually applies for the particular building or site that you're looking at, and check with the latest legislation just that you're absolutely certain you have this right. Some of the rights are granted subject to criteria that can be approved by the local authority, such as the appearance of the building, the highways provisions, and the access provisions. So you need to be very clear that you do have the permitted development rights before you start to go through a process of purchase, if that's what you're going to do, or certainly construction. Irrespective of whether you have planning permission or permitted development right, you must carry out the works under the building regulations. So you need to submit detailed drawings of your proposed construction works for prior approval of the Building Control Department in the local authority jurisdiction where the work's being carried out. You pay a fee to the local authority for this, for them to review the drawings and approve them, and you pay a fee for them to visit the site and inspect the works. You can carry out a self-certification of the building control process by appointing a suitably qualified consultant to carry out this function on behalf of the local authority, provided you conform to their procedures and requirements. So if you want more information about this or any other aspect of project management, then these are our details: www.alpusgroup.com. You can contact me, Alan, at alpusgroup.com, or you can telephone me 07539 141 257. I've got Skype and WhatsApp and FaceTime on that number. If you want to book an exploratory call with me, go to https://calendly.com/AlanJE. And if you go to the other link that we show below the video, you can get a free contracts checklist, which will enable you to check risks of different forms of procurement. That's all for this video, so cheers for now.